On this episode of the Apple Watchers, Apple CEO responds to Apple Watch owner after its ECG feature spotted AFib. An Apple Watch lost at sea for 3 weeks returned to owner. Is an Apple Watch made of plastic on the way? You can now purchase Apple Care after 60 days. Finally, Apple rebrands Beats One Radio to Apple One with 2 more radio stations. iPhones with Fortnite installed listed on eBay for prices as high as $10,000. All this, our picks, tips, and much more. This is episode number 33. Welcome to the Apple Watchers, a podcast covering all things Apple Watch and many things Apple. This episode and every episode is brought to you by me, Kevin Hare, and my co-host, Jonathan Zarko, aka Jay-Z. All right, let's get started. Well, how you doing?
Doing good. Better today.
Good. Well, I wish I could say the same. I'm tired, but I've been working more, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
We're getting a little busier at my work, which is a very, very good thing. So, but other than that, really nothing to report.
Yeah. Just settling into the new normal. Yes.
Well, again, I think we mentioned that last week, or last episode, but hopefully it's not the new normal forever.
Yeah.
Well, let's dig right in then. Start with a few Apple Watch stories. So Tim Cook responds to an Apple Watch owner after its ECG feature spotted AFib. So when an Apple Watch wearer, Raymond, felt unwell, he knew what to do. The fluttering in his chest was enough to suggest that an ECG would be wise, and sure enough, the watch alerted him that he was suffering from AFib, something a hospital later confirmed. Raymond said that he sent an email to Apple CEO Tim Cook to thank him for making Apple Watch a thing. The Apple CEO responded by saying, "I'm so glad you sought medical attention. Thanks for sharing your story with us. It inspires us to keep pushing forward."
That's pretty nice. I think it's cool when they actually reply to people too.
I wonder if it's really Tim Cook personally, not that it totally matters, but
I think so. I mean, there's not a lot of these coming out, but, probably you caught him at the right time. Just a quick boom. Although maybe that this isn't the work email that he normally has, and it's just one that he jumps into, every once in a while.
Yeah, that may be. So that's a cool little story.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to mention something too. Well, you're on watchOS 7 beta. So there's a new site up for sharing your Apple Watch faces. We'll have a link in the show notes for that, and it gives you instructions on how to do it. I was wondering if you have tried it. You've probably been too busy.
Yeah, I haven't tried this yet. Also, at first I was thinking, I was like, I don't know why I would need that. I'm pretty set in my ways. But I will say, when you put the link in here, I took a look, and there are some kind of funny ones in there where people have, taken a funny picture or meme and put it as the wallpaper, and it's, set up so that the time is incorporated into that. And so there's some pretty cool little details like that I might check out. But in terms of like my actual modular set, I'm pretty happy with all the things that I have on there, so I don't think I'll be changing it.
Yeah, I looked around on that website. I liked it. I like seeing kind of what other people do, and you might find something like, oh, what's that? As far as like, what is that complication? What are they using?
Yeah, I'm more interested in seeing what happens when app owners and app creators start to do this, because I think that's where a lot of the power is going to be, where you can have, Nike come out with their own whole face, and it's got a bunch of their different apps and complications all kind of synced in there. So that's what I'm really excited for. And I think that'll come sometime during this year as that happens.
Yeah, we'll probably mention this site again once watchOS 7 is officially out to the public, and there would probably be more websites, I would guess.
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if Apple actually put out their own kind of sanctioned one.
They should.
Yeah. Well, moving forward, so there's a news story here about an Apple Watch that was lost in the ocean for more than 3 weeks getting returned to its owner. This is in Honolulu. Wilson Naboa said he was kayaking with his family and friends near Chinaman's Hat on July 25th when his kayak tipped over. He jumped in the water to help his 3-year-old back in and ended up losing his Apple Watch in the process. Fast forward to Monday when Brandon Goodman was out diving for squid in the same area. After catching 2 of them, he said he spotted something shiny in the water and pulled it into his boat. Turns out it was Naboa's watch. The next day, Goodman said he decided to try and charge it. His quote is, "When it got a little bit of charged, I turned it on, and I saw that there was a phone number of the person that had lost it. I called the phone number and he answered. Naboa said, I didn't think I was ever going to see it again. For somebody to find an expensive watch like that, anyone could have easily kept it, you know? He did the right thing, which is rare these days, especially with everything going on. But the really cool random twist for this story, both men ironically lived on the same street.
Man, that is really weird.
I mean, if you find the watch and you know that the person is just down the street, you really would be like, yeah, okay, I'll give this back.
Okay, so why don't I come pick up my watch? Okay, where are you located? Let me give you my address. Wait, what?
Yeah. You want to just come outside? I'll throw it to you.
How are you a block away? What?
Granted, the Hawaii is small, but like Honolulu is actually a pretty big city. So it is pretty cool.
That is very cool. Well, moving on. Affordable Apple Watch coming, says prolific leaker. So rumors have suggested that Apple Watch has been experimenting with a plastic as an Apple Watch material, which would reduce the cost versus an aluminum or titanium enclosure. A separate rumor says that a new kid mode would be coming to watchOS, which would fit in well with a cheaper Apple Watch. The Apple Watch Series 6 won't be a big update, but not a small one either. Rumored features for the next watch include an improved ECG function and an enabled blood oxygen sensor, which may not be coming actually, since we've found out and heard some other rumors coming. So,
well, the blood oxygen sensor is different than a blood pressure sensor, which is the thing.
Oh, right, right. I've heard that this might not be coming either, possibly. But, we'll see. It would be better that they leave it off if it doesn't work correctly. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I've heard that this is easier to do because they're able to do blood oxygen sensing with light by shining it into the skin and kind of reading through like the veins and the way that the light is refracting back. But it also feels super, sci-fi and very futuristic. So I would imagine that this may be difficult to actually do, but pretty cool if they could. I'm happy to wait.
And I think I want to start updating every year. So regardless of what they do.
Yeah. I mean, even if this one, the big difference is just the improved ECG function.
Yes. Absolutely.
I don't know. I might. I want to, but if that's all it is, I may hang out for one more year.
Oh, you need the always on face.
Oh, that is true. I don't have that yet. And I was interested in getting cellular.
Yes. Yeah. Which we're about to talk about. Yeah. And you have got the Apple Card. You just got that recently, which we will discuss. Yeah. So, I mean, it's very easy, John.
Yeah, that's
very
true.
Easy to upgrade.
Get my 3% on that too.
And they'll probably have like a buy it now type button.
Probably on my Apple Watch.
Yeah, exactly. You could buy your next Apple Watch from your old Apple Watch. How perfect is that? With your Apple Card.
I could see it, man.
Do it. Do it. Before we move on to some Apple stories, I have one more thing to discuss about the Apple Watch. So let's go back to WWDC and specifically to the section about watchOS 7. You saw it, and probably many of our listeners saw that WWDC. And they mentioned that they were bringing dance as a workout feature to the Apple Watch. And I don't know about you, but when that aired, I was like, wow, this is great. I've always wanted that. And then I started thinking, wait, did they already have that? And I couldn't really figure it out. So it led me down a whole road of kind of looking deep into that workout app. And I already have dance. Now, I guess there might be better dance detection or something on watchOS 7 and different types. I wanted to point that out, that it's already there. At least if you have a Series 5, I don't know if it's on your watch. You'll have to
It
look.
is.
Okay, so
But I'm also upgraded to watchOS 7.
yeah, you're on watchOS 7. Right, right.
But I vaguely remember it being there before I upgraded. I had the same idea you did. I was like, I thought that was already a thing. But what I have noticed is that some of the activity apps, they really are just recording heart rate and time duration
Okay.
and not adjusting the amount of calories based off of anything except for those factors. Like I think yoga is that way.
Okay.
Whereas if I am walking, if I have the walking app going and I stop for a minute, or well, granted, a few extra minutes, then it will be like, hey, are you still working out? But if I am doing yoga, if I just have the yoga app on, I can literally be sitting on the couch and it will continue to run and count calories, even though my heart rate is super low and I'm not moving a lot. So I think the dance one might have just been doing that, but in OS 7 and with this upgraded one, they're actually going to be incorporating movement data into the calorie processing and the burning processing.
Now that kind of makes sense because there was one, well, actually, it happens to me quite a bit where I'm almost at the point where I can just seal that move ring.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, hey, what better thing to do? What better activity to do? Dance, right? I'll just dance like a freak, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Bust a
But
move.
it's so difficult. So it probably is not.
You are a white guy. I mean,
Well, yeah, that's probably the issue, actually. I'm trying to move all I can and I just look ridiculous. But yeah, so maybe it's tracking better movement in watchOS 7, which would help me seal that final ring that I have a hard time with every day. I just want to point this out that it already is in watchOS 6. So if you have it and you want to dance, it's probably there. At WWDC, they also announced core training, functional strength training, and cool down, which I think those are new. No, core training was already there, but it has a different icon.
Yeah.
But I think the other ones are new. And we're actually going to go over kind of all the activities that are covered in the workout app because I thought it was kind of funny. And for some reason, I never really, or maybe a long time ago, I started digging real deep into the workout app, but there's a lot there. And I wanted to mention it because I think some people might not know that it's there because you do have to dig.
Yeah.
It's actually not on the Watch app on the iPhone. Let me go over the instructions first. You have to open the workout app on the watch. When you open it, it will say popular at the top. Then you scroll down past popular section until you see the letter A. Then all the workouts are in alphabetical order from there. And you have to just keep scrolling till you find the workout that you want.
Yeah. I think once you've also started doing some, it will elevate those so that it's easier for you to do it.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it's doing machine learning as far as that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not that hard to figure out. It's like show the last 5 things you did again.
Yeah.
What's funny though is the diversity of exercises that are in there and some things that you wouldn't even really consider are exercises. Like what was it? Fitness gaming? What is that?
So why don't we go over all of them? Because I counted 77 workouts. So it's been a while since I kind of really went digging in there. And there's a lot. So American football, archery, Australian football, badminton, bar, baseball, basketball, bowling, boxing, climbing, core training, cricket, cross-country skiing, cross-training, curling, dance, disc sports, downhill skiing, elliptical, equestrian sports, fencing, fishing. Okay, some of these might be a little questionable, but
is that actually exercise? I mean, I guess you're casting.
I guess there's competition fishing,
Yeah.
But yeah, and then
well, I've done some deep sea fishing too, and fought some big fish. So I guess I could see that, but most of the time you're just kind of chilling and drinking beer. So
that one kind of caught me off guard.
Should it be negative calories if you do fishing?
That's right. That's right. You actually lose calories.
Yeah.
And your rings start going the other
backwards.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then right under that is your favorite fitness gaming.
Is that Wii Sports? Like, what is that?
I saw that one. I was like, wow, okay. And then there's just flexibility, Right under that. Okay.
Not to be confused with yoga, but just straight up stretching.
Flexibility. So then function training, golf, gymnastics, hand cycling, handball, high intensity interval training, hiking, hockey, hunting, indoor cycle, indoor run, indoor walk, jump rope, kickboxing, lacrosse, martial arts, mind and body, mixed cardio, open water swim, other, outdoor cycle, outdoor run, outdoor walk, paddling, Pilates, play.
For a kid, I guess. Yeah, it's like,
That must be for the plastic Apple Watch that's coming for
yeah.
kids. Just play, which would be
Or is it
good.
when you act in a play?
But
It's drama.
But play would actually be good because probably kids don't play as much. They do fitness gaming, or
Yeah.
or just gaming period, which is not in here. So continuing, pool swim, racquetball, rolling, rower, rugby, sailing. Okay. Skating, snow sports, snowboarding,
Not-
soccer, softball.
Well, snow sports, but then there's also snowboarding and there was downhill skiing. So what is snow sports? Snowball fight?
Yeah.
Building a snowman? Does that count? Like you're pushing a ball?
It would be exercise, right? Got to use your muscles. Continuing, softball, squash, stair stepper, stairs. When I saw stairs, I was like, I live upstairs. You mean I could be counting this as a workout all this time?
I think we missed soccer, just to add that in there. Not to be confused with American football or Australian football or rugby, also soccer.
Yes, American soccer is what they should have put. Step training, strength training, surfing, table tennis, Tai Chi.
Ping pong? Really?
Yeah, well, I guess you're moving your arms, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Last time I played table tennis or ping pong, I worked out pretty hard, but I was just being crazy, and there's probably some drinking involved. Where did I leave off? Tai Chi.
Does beer pong count?
Track and field, volleyball, water fitness, water polo, water sports, wrestling, and yoga.
So these are interesting. I also want to call out, I love mind and body, which I guess is meditation.
Yes.
But if you're elevating your heart rate on that, like, what are you doing?
What are you thinking about?
Or is that when you're sitting on the edge of a cliff?
Ooh.
Yeah. And you're sitting there and you're doing mind and body and you're racking up calories as an eagle screeches by your face.
Well,
freaks you out.
I'm afraid of heights, so my heart rate would be going nuts.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to go work out. I'm just going to stand on this ledge.
Yeah, that would be a workout. I would probably almost die. So
30 minutes of heart palpitations. It's all good.
So I
feel alive.
I just wanted to point that out because it is a little hidden. And there's a lot of workouts in there. So if any of those workouts kind of interest you, you may not need a third-party app for those activities. So I wanted to mention also that I just re-enabled the cellular on my watch, which is kind of funny. Did it again because I had it for a little while. I kind of had it on when COVID hit and thought I would go to the market and, not have to bring my phone, which was kind of cool. Only touch one device, but I decided to try to take up running. That's kind of what it's called right now because it's not going great, but it's better than nothing. So, but I love it because it's changed a lot for me and my experience with my devices, shall I say. So when I go out running, I pretty much have everything I need. I can stream live music, live radio, I can send texts, make phone calls, all while tracking my workouts. I use my AirPods to listen to audio, and make phone calls and sending texts. The thing that's been really great is just leaving the phone at home. And I've really, really loved it. For me, it was like a revelation. And I think everyone uses their phone differently, but I'm constantly enticed if I have it in my back pocket or wherever, constantly enticed to take it out. Oh, let me add this to a grocery list, or let me check this, or even add something to our, podcast doc. So this has made me take a break from that. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd mention it. If it's something you're interested in, really helps you get away from your phone if that's part of your goal. I also want to point out I use T-Mobile. That's a carrier here in the United States. They're pretty good on their rates because I've heard that
Hmm.
most other carriers are charging $15 a month and they're only charging $10. So that's been good too. And they were actually nice enough to waive the activation fee twice.
Well, that's cool. Have you tried using Apple Pay with it? Could you also leave your wallet behind and just have
Absolutely.
like your phone and an ID? Yeah,
Oh,
that's cool.
absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yeah, as long as it's on your watch. I actually use that
Hmm.
sometimes instead of my phone, especially during it's funny you should ask about that because yeah, during this coronavirus and everything, if you go to use Apple Pay with your phone, you have to put in your code, right? Because you got a
Hmm.
mask on, you're at a
Hmm.
market, you got your mask on. With your watch, you don't need anything.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I actually use that more now, or let me be clear, use Apple Pay more on my watch.
As opposed to using it on your phone, right?
Yep. Yep.
I currently have two phones because I have the work iPhone and then I have my personal one. And it is a little cumbersome when I have to go out with both phones. Now I do have like my phone number rerouting to my work phone so I can answer things on it. That works some of the time.
Mm,
I've had some times where I tried to answer it, it didn't quite work.
mm.
Um, but this also might be a solution for me if I were to get the cellular. In addition to having the benefit of, the fall detection, being able to call even if my phone is crushed, only having one device might be kind of nice for those times.
I have an idea though.
Mm.
Tell your work you need the new watch, the Series 6, and then you can have 2 watches.
Yeah, one for each arm.
That's right. One will have cellular, and the other not.
No, and then I could leave my work phone behind.
You'll have a work
Oh.
watch and a regular watch.
Left side of me is Fun John, and the right side is Work John.
Perfect.
Yeah, not quite. What about so when you're running, do you switch out your band?
Well, no. I mean, no. I actually switch out my band when I sleep,
Ah,
to be clear. Yeah, because I use
put the fuzzy one on. Looks like a bunny.
no. That's
Got a
hilarious.
little sleepy ball
Yeah,
hat on it. No.
made out of pajama material. Um, no, I actually use the Sport Loop. That's my most common band, actually.
Hmm.
That's kind of been my favorite overall lately. And then I wear a regular sport band when I sleep because I just feel like it kind of like it makes a shape, like a round shape, and so it
Hmm.
kind of just stays in place a little bit better. The Sport Loop, you can, if you have it tightened too much, it'll can cut off your circulation a little. So
Right,
you
right.
wouldn't want that in your sleep. So yeah, when I'm out and about, I wear the Sport Loop.
Okay, interesting. Right now, because I've been doing just walks. Running is not my deal, but I do like some long distance walking, just about every day, between 4 and 6 miles each day. And then sometimes it's like hiking because I'm going up towards the mountains. I live very close to mountains, and so I basically just go scale a mountain to the end of where some houses are. I just go up to like the bougie multi-million dollar homes and look all suspicious for a second because I'm walking around. But just me and the coyotes.
Oh, no.
But I just keep the same band on all the time. I don't know. It's a little bit of a hassle for me to swap them in and out. I have that Milanese loop, but I am curious. Like maybe sometimes it gets kind of sweaty, so maybe I'll start swapping it out.
Did you just say it was hard to swap them out? Because it's nothing like an analog watch.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Where, like I've had analog watches where they have a little it's supposed to be easy way to take off that clasp. It has like a
Uh
little
huh.
spring, but even that is pretty difficult because it has a little post, and when you put it back in the case, it's very hard to line up. So the Apple Watch is actually
Mm,
super easy. That's why I actually switch out every day
yeah.
when I sleep and whatnot.
Oh, you know what I just thought of? If I do get a new watch, I could put like a workout band on this one and then have my Milanese band on the new one. And then when I am, well, I guess I'd want the new one to be working out in because I want the cellular. But my idea was that I could basically just have like a workout watch and then a not workout watch,
Mm.
and I could swap them in and out. And the other thing is, then I could also do sleep tracking and not have to worry about charging because one will always be charging versus the other.
Yeah, some people do that actually. They keep their old watch and use it just for sleep tracking.
Mm-hmm.
I will probably end up selling mine
Yeah.
or, trading it in. I'm not sure yet.
I don't know if this 4 is actually be worth that much. It's also got a lot of scuffs on it, so it might actually be more worth it to me just to keep it for sleep tracking.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to find you a deal on one of those genuine Apple Sport loops because I actually don't know how you use that Milanese loop to do activities, man.
Well, I'm not.
It gets sweaty. It's a metal band.
Yeah.
They're actually
Yeah.
not meant for working out at all, and I would imagine it could be a little uncomfortable too. Once you try a sport loop, you won't want to go back.
That's fair. That's probably fair.
But I got to find you a genuine one. The knockoffs are cool, but the genuine ones are even better, and they seem more durable. We've actually
Yeah.
covered one of my picks was one of those third party sport
Yeah.
loops, and the clasp is a little loose, so little risky. But
See, that's interesting. About leaving my phone behind while I'm working out. Here's the thing, though. I hate working out. Like, loathe it. And the most effective way for me to work out is to be distracted. And so actually my phone is the best thing for that. And so if I have like an audio book or something running, that it tends to be sufficient. But I also really like working on the show, and I'll be, modifying what we're going to be talking about on it, or checking stocks, or like looking up houses on Zillow and stuff like I like to do other things while I'm walking. I'm careful. I'm on sidewalks and I'm watching to make sure there's no cars. And
you only do it in traffic.
Secure. Yeah. The biggest risk is probably like stepping on a snake or something up in the mountains. But I'm pretty big and loud. Hopefully they hear me and move out of the way. So I don't know.
See,
I'm super curious. I think once I have it, I'll probably try it and see how it feels. But there's definitely, I've seen like scenarios where I've been out and if I don't have something to distract me, then I'm less enthusiastic to go work out.
That's interesting because when I'm indoors, like if I'm on, we have our bicycles up on like a trainer, so it's like a stationary bike, and I definitely need like the TV on or iPad or iPhone, and something to look at because it's super boring. But when I'm outdoors, I actually like to just kind of take in the trees and nature as much as I can. I mean, there's not a lot in our neighborhood, but there is a park like 4 or 5 blocks from here, and it's still got the freeway right next to it, but there's still trees and there's people, I don't know if you remember people too. There's people out there. So I don't know. For me, I mean, everyone's different. For me, I really like disconnecting from my phone. And I think I've mentioned on the previous episode, but I think I'm going to downgrade, because I just feel like I'm using my watch more and maybe using the phone a little bit less. So at least downgrade a little bit, maybe to just the 12 instead of the 12 Pro. So,
I'm telling you, man, you are going to be the prime purchaser for Apple Glass or whatever they call it. Because I think that's going to be their whole kind of deal, right? Like it's the idea of you have all the things, but you're able to look past it and you don't have to have an extra device. I mean, ultimately later on, I think you're going to probably need a phone for the next 5 years or so, but I could definitely see later on, like your watch being the primary computation device and then your display being glasses. You already wear glasses, so there's that. I don't know, man.
Maybe it depends. I don't want to get a bunch of alerts and emails in my glasses. The watch is perfect because it only, I actually have do not disturb while working out turned on. So I would only get texts and phone calls from people that are in my favorites, which would be my family and my significant other. So that works out perfect, So
if you still have the watch, then you'll still get them that same way.
Yeah.
But your other things, your other interaction pieces, like your activity tracking, right? You might see a little dealy bob in the corner of your vision or something.
Yeah, as long as it has a do not disturb while working out, I would be into it because I do like turning that on as well because it drives me nuts. I don't know about you, but I don't like to be disturbed when I'm out there trying to run. It's hard enough for me at 52 to try to run.
I welcome any distraction. Oh, man. I don't want to be thinking about the fact that I'm working out.
Wow.
That is the most effective way. And I actually end up working out better because I realize that I start walking faster and things like that if I'm really into something else. Like there have been times I've noticed where I'm like, oh, man, I booked it. I did a 17-minute mile instead of the normal, 18 or 18 and a half. So I don't know.
So you might need to keep Apple News Plus. So you always have something to
Maybe
read.
I have been listening to stuff, and I have been reading through some articles on there. It is growing on me. The funny thing is, it's not the magazines. Every once in a while, maybe like one or two articles here or there. I saw an interesting one about dinosaurs that they got Scientific American had up, which was kind of cool. About they found some long necked dinosaur egg, and inside they were able to see that the babies had a horn. Cool. But really it's the news stuff. And like as we're moving into the elections, it's a lot better, I think. So they may get me. I may re-up on that guy. But I still got like another 60 days, I think, or something.
Yeah, both of us signed up at the same time. So I haven't been that into it, but we were not, even with 4 days off of work, I've still been very busy. So
I did finally get the audio for whatever reason, because I was on the beta. I wasn't getting the audio tab for a while, and I did finally get that, and I do like it. So it is nice. I still ask the same questions, why they don't just throw a 5 or 10 second ad on the end of that and just make them free.
Yeah.
And give you the option to buy a premium version. Okay, whatever. All right, well, let's move on. We got some other Apple quick stories here we can kind of chat about. So Apple's expanding the 60-day AppleCare purchase window to a full year for hardware. Bloomberg reports that Apple has informed retail and customer support employees that customers in the United States and Canada now have up to 1 year to buy AppleCare Plus coverage. This extension from the 60-day window to a 1-year window should make it significantly easier for customers to buy AppleCare Plus coverage after their initial purchase. Apple says that the offer is available to customers who buy AppleCare Plus in full or who pay via installments using the Apple Card. Those who pay via other monthly payments will not be eligible. Even with this expansion, keep in mind that your iPhone or your other product will need to be in normal working condition and not damaged to add AppleCare. You will need to have your device verified before adding AppleCare Plus by Apple. AppleCare Plus serves as a complement to the 1-year limited warranty that comes with Apple hardware purchases. So you get AppleCare for a year that covers defects. They're also extending that window, so you'll be able to extend just the general warranty after a year. That normally also had a 60-day window, which didn't make sense because AppleCare worked for a year, but you had to choose to get 2 years within 60 days. So this makes a lot more sense with that. But being able to get AppleCare Plus after within a year, I think is really, really good. And they're definitely planning ahead because they know people are going to try to scam them and be like, I broke my phone. Hey, can I get AppleCare Plus? No, that's not going to happen.
You have to bring it into an Apple store. You have to bring your device into an Apple store, and they do a full exam on the device, make sure there's no damage whatsoever.
Yeah. They open it up, make sure there's no bees inside or cracked screen and things. So what people do with their stuff, man.
When I saw this article, I was like, man, it's about time, because it never made sense for either one, AppleCare or AppleCare Plus, that you had to decide within 60 days, because you get AppleCare free for 1 year. It's like, well, why can't I have a year to decide?
Yeah.
It's about time they did this. It's very good.
See, what I'd like to see is currently they have the upgrade program, right, on the phone and other items too, not the watch for some strange reason. Apple works in mysterious ways. But what would be interesting to me is for them to start offering a version where you get the installments and then you automatically get AppleCare Plus as part of that. And it's just part of the all-in payment. You can do that, but it's not discounted like a whole bundle, right?
That is part of it actually already.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. That makes more sense then.
Yes, because I do my upgrade program through Apple, and they will not let you not get AppleCare Plus, because what if something happened to the phone or it got damaged? So that price is factored in.
Okay. Well, then never mind. And that makes sense.
But you're getting 3% back on the entire purchase. So
that's pretty good.
For everything. So, that's something. And if they run any specials again near Christmas, it was 6% cash back.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they did that last year.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So, did you know, because you are not on Apple Music, did you know that Apple rebranded Beats One as Apple Music One and launched 2 new global radio stations with new hosts and shows?
Cool.
So joining Apple Music One and Apple's lineup of global radio stations will be 2 new stations, Apple Music Hits and Apple Music Country. The former is dedicated to well-known and well-loved songs from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, while the latter highlights modern and classic country music. One of the unique strengths of Apple Music One, besides its strong team of hosts, is the periodic shows by artists such as Billie Eilish, Elton John, and Frank Ocean. Apple has assembled just an impressive an assortment of shows for its new stations. Per Apple's press release, Apple Music Hits will feature exclusive shows from Backstreet Boys, Sierra, Mark Hoppus, Huey Lewis, Alanis Morissette, Snoop Dogg, Meghan Trainor, Shania Twain, and more. For Apple Music Country, the list of shows is even longer. So this actually surprised me. This happened, I think, last Tuesday as of this recording. So I was expecting to just hear Beats One, and I heard this at 9 a.m. and was kind of surprised, and then saw two more stations. Now, this was very exciting to me. Some of the new shows are really good. I like the Snoop Dogg show, even Huey Lewis. You can say what you want about him, but the show is great. He plays 80s music, and he has a lot of kind of facts about songs and interesting information.
Would you say that he gives you news?
That's right. Huey Lewis gives me Huey Lewis and the news. This was surprising and very cool. Now, it's mentioned in this article, the person who wrote this article, that they would like to see some alerts, which is something we mentioned before.
Yeah.
I think on the last episode. Yeah, they still don't have alerts. It would be great if you could go into specific artist shows and say, alert me when their next show is out.
Mm-hmm.
And you had mentioned, like, I think Spotify does like emails. I would hate emails because I have too many emails, but just an alert on my phone, or watch, whatever, just tell me that Huey Lewis has a new show.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me that Snoop Dogg has a new show. Tell me when it's out, because I have to just look at their schedule. Now, the schedule is good. It's a little more informative. So this is cool. Now, I wonder, related to this, is since they got rid of the Beats name for Beats One, what do you think they're going to do with the headphones? Same name, different name, Apple headphones?
I honestly think that the success of the Apple AirPods is showing that the Apple name brand has a larger resonance with consumers than Beats does. I think Beats gave them credibility when they first started out because it was such a big like studio thing, and it still does give credibility for high-end audiophiles, I think. But the market size of just your general Joe Schmo understanding and recognizing the name Apple, I think, is much larger, and so they can still satisfy and attract that audiophile demographic by saying, Apple headphones powered by Beats, or with Beats technology. Very similar to how some other companies, like I remember back in the day, there was a DVD player, a portable DVD player that I remember seeing, and it had I think it was like a Panasonic, but it also had Bose speakers. Which okay, it was like a selling point where they did a partnership, and it was using some Bose technology, but it was still a small, stupid speaker. This is something that they could do and really use the Apple brand and Apple weight to kind of showcase and market new headphones, and just use Beats as a authenticity kind of name to help power that. I would be very surprised, or I would not be very surprised, if they rebrand and start to drop Beats from the primary name and make it the secondary byline of their product.
Yeah, it looks like that's the way it's going to go, because we've heard rumors also of Apple over-the-ear headphones coming out, the studio headphones. So maybe we'll see those, and that's kind of a way of phasing out those Beats headphones.
Yeah, like a AirPod Studio or something like that, calling it that way. Although I don't know if maybe the pod works if it's an over-the-ear. Maybe they'll end up incorporating Beats somewhere into the name, where they'll call them the Apple Beats.
Apple Beats Studio over-the-ear headphones. That's catchy.
Or Apple Studio Beats. I can't do all the work for them. I will say this. So the name, Apple Music One. Originally it was called Apple Beats One, right?
It was called Beats One.
Or Beats One.
Yeah.
And now it's Apple Music One.
Yes.
Why keep the one?
I don't know.
Why not rebrand this Plus like everything else, like News and then News Plus? And TV and TV Plus.
I do have one hunch though, because there's been rumors. We don't have an article in this episode, but there's been rumors of a whole, sort of package deal like Amazon Prime, like Apple doing something like that
Mm-hmm.
and calling it Apple One. So maybe the name kind of fits in, kind of intermingles with their plan coming up, Apple Music One. Although to me, that would make it more confusing.
Yeah.
So am I subscribing to Apple Music One or Apple One or what's, but those were just rumors. The naming was, so we don't know what it'll be called.
See, the name Apple One for a bundle makes sense to me. You have one bundle.
Bundle Plus.
So yeah, plus one. But it makes a lot more sense to me to say you get Apple One, and then with Apple One, you get Apple Music Plus, News Plus, Arcade, Apple TV Plus. All those other things are kind of like incorporated into that. But I don't know, this Music One thing, I feel like they kept the wrong part. But all right, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know about the naming. It's not great. I also want to point out, I wish they would do more stations. I know it's, okay, they just did this major undertaking and now I want more already after like the first day, but it would be cool if they did some more stations eventually, like a all hip hop would be cool.
I'm actually really surprised they don't. It's such a large market too.
Yeah, I mean, they have quite a bit of hip hop shows on a few of those stations.
Well, there's the Golden Age hip hop playlist, or radio, I should say. But
that's not a radio station. There's different types, so you can see some of my history. So there's the Nile Rodgers show. That's like an artist show, right? The hip hop radio is one of those ones where you just kind of press it and it just plays for 24 hours on end, but it's not like a hosted radio station. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
So they have, you can start a radio station from an artist, just like any other music service. Then there's these like golden age of hip hop. There's like hip hop. There's probably jazz, and those just, I don't think they're curated, and there's nobody talking. So these other stations are actually people talking and hosting. So
I see.
So the three stations are actually constantly hosted. So Music One, Music Hits, and Music Country, they're hosted 24 hours. Some of the shows repeat, but they are hosted 24 hours. So that's the difference with those type of radio stations.
Is this a screenshot from your iPad?
Yes.
Just an interesting design choice that they had. They literally took the navigation from their mobile and just kept it scrunched to the side and then made the other half of that the playing.
I put this in here because, believe it or not, this looks better than it used to. Used to be a little harder to navigate, and I like that my history is kind of up at the top. I also like the way all of these sync across devices. So even on my watch, which has been important to me, is it'll show what I last listened to. Now, the only problem is you can see up at the top at radio, it says just Music One and then Music Hits, but it doesn't show what show I listened to. It'll only show what show, like if it's an artist show, if you listen to it after the fact. So that Nile Rodgers I had listened to after the fact, so it shows that I listened to it, but it just generalizes if you listen live. So it just says that I listened to Music One, even though it was like the Zane Lowe show.
Can you subscribe to certain shows?
No.
And get them like a podcast where they just load into an area?
Well, you have to dig around, but there you can find like, these Nile Rodgers shows. You can find just Zane Lowe's morning shows. You can go back and listen to those, stuff like that. But it could be a little more organized, and it would be cool if you can follow like this Nile Rodgers show. That one was actually really good because he's like a producer. He was in Chic as well. He's a guitarist. Yeah, it would just be handy if they had alerts set up and better ways to kind of follow artists. They actually used to have a more social aspect where you can follow artists, and then they got rid of it. Yeah, and artists were able to post like, hey, I got a single coming out soon or whatever. But yeah, they got rid of it for some reason. But I see a lot that they can do with Apple Music, but they just don't.
Yeah. Well, they're making changes. So maybe that means that there's some changes coming up.
This was actually a big step. a huge step, because having a 24-hour radio station is a major undertaking.
Yeah, and they just added 2 more.
Yeah, and they hired tons of people, and they pre-recorded some of the shows, I would guess.
You know what I never noticed? Zane Lowe looks like a cross between Steve Jobs and Johnny Ives. It's like a weird vibe because he's got the black t-shirt and the white background, and there's just, I don't know. It's weird.
By the way, even if you're not subscribed to Apple Music, you can listen to these 3 stations live. So you wouldn't be able to go back and listen to shows. But if you, John, were ever curious about any of this, you can go and listen to it live.
Yeah, maybe one of these days I'll hop back in.
Yeah, and there's a red button there, or red writing, says you can see the schedule, so you can see when Huey Lewis is on and check it out live.
Yeah, get the news, man.
Yeah, pretty good show.
Alrighty.
Anyways, so yeah, that's enough about Apple Music.
Well, cool. Okay, so have you seen this? So last week or last episode, we talked about the fact that Fortnite is fighting with Apple. And so Apple responded by removing Fortnite from iOS devices. Now, if you already had Fortnite, it kept it on the device. And now there are iPhones with Fortnite installed hitting eBay with prices as high as $10,000. Earlier in August, like I said, Fortnite creator Epic Games baited Apple into removing the popular Battle Royale title from the App Store. But Apple decided to not remove the app remotely from users' devices, meaning anyone who previously installed Fortnite on their phone still had access to the game. But an iPhone 10 with the game pre-installed was listed for an asking price of $10,000. That appears to be on the high end, since others ranged from a few $100s to several thousand. Fortnite, for example, is free to play and doesn't cost anything. More than that, it's a cross-platform title that's still available on plenty of other operating systems, in addition to Apple products that already had the game. Epic Games pulled the similar tactic on Google, and the game was also yanked from the Google Play Store. So this is not just an Apple fight. This is an Epic fight. And Epic Games is protesting the 15 to 30% commission that Apple and Google take on in-app purchases, and has lodged twin lawsuits claiming that the tech giants participate in anti-competitive practices. So we did check, and as of today, recording on August 28th, they are still on eBay. You can go and bid or purchase a $10,000 iPhone with Fortnite on it.
Yeah.
But rest assured that it's also not an iPhone 10, but actually an iPhone 8.
Yeah, well, it's an 8 Plus. But yeah, so would you like an 8 Plus for $10,000?
I think I'm going to pass on that one. I mean, at least somebody else was more reasonable listing $6,500 for an iPhone 11 Pro with Fortnite installed.
Yeah, you seemed interested in that one. I was trying to get you to buy that with your Apple card.
Well, they didn't. We weren't taking Apple Pay, so I wouldn't get the 3% back. So I'm going to pass. But this is hilarious to me, and also just kind of crazy. Nobody's going to buy these. That's the asking price, like the buy now price, right? And please, if you are interested in purchasing an iPhone that has Fortnite pre-installed on it and are willing to pay $10,000, shoot me a message through Twitter or something, because I have a bag of magic beans to sell you to get you into Fortnite land.
I was actually surprised because this story is, I think, from last week, and I expected this to kind of die down. And so I checked today, and yes, they're still listed. And the one in the article that says $10,000, if it's the same one, is still there. So, and I can't even talk about it without laughing. It just makes me laugh. It's just.
Hey, it's also got the Rite Aid and Walgreens and CVS apps also installed already.
Oh, man.
So many pharmacies, guys.
Yeah, actually, we should write to some of these sellers like, hey, what other apps are on there?
Yeah. Can you download Grubhub?
Oh, man, this one looks like he's got AT&T. Perfect.
Ooh. Nah, I'm going to pass. And Target. Why does this person have so many pharmacies on their phone? What is the matter?
Okay. Yeah, there's something wrong there.
Goodness.
That is awesome.
You also got a bunch of voicemails. Like, at least curate your screenshot before you put it up there. And they paid to sponsor it. Like, come on. What is going on?
Oh, man.
Even still, I am curious your thoughts on the whole, the actual crux of the issue, which is the fact that Apple is charging 30% for in-app purchases. Like, what do you feel about that? Your personal.
It's hard. It's a slippery slope, because we discussed it in pre-show. There's an app right there in one of these screenshots, Target. Now, they're not taking 30% from Target. or Walmart,
Right.
or Amazon. So it's a slippery slope. Now, I've never read the stipulations. I'm not a developer, so I don't know what Apple states. But if you sign up to be in the App Store, you're also signing up for Apple's App Store rules.
Yeah.
Fortnite or Epic, they knew what they were getting into, and now they just want to go and change it. Which I understand, but also little fishy. Like, I mean, we know that they did this on purpose. We discussed it in the last episode. They had the lawsuit ready. They had the video ready. I do feel like Apple needs to change some of their policies, but they would have to change them across the board, which would become another slippery slope.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I do not feel that Apple removing Fortnite from their app store was out of line, because they straight up violated the policy. So actions have consequences. These things happen. But from Epic's side, I agree. I think 30% for subscription-based and in-app purchases is significant, especially when they have deemed that actual product sales don't have to qualify that. So that's why Target, because you're purchasing a product, or Amazon is able to skirt that. They don't have to pay the 30%. But here's where it gets murky. So you are paying for your Amazon subscription. Is Apple taking 30% from the subscription for Amazon Prime? They may not be taking, a portion of the purchase price from a product that you buy, but are they taking 30% of the subscription if you sign up for it on the app? And if they're not, what about the fact that because I bought or I have Prime, I now can do Prime Video and Prime Music and all these other digital content things that don't fall in the 30% realm? So I almost wonder if they should renegotiate with their developers and say that, there's a certain threshold that, the first, I don't know, $1 million or something like that the app brings in, you're paying 30%. And then for every dollar over that, it scales, right? And so, yes, you're paying a portion for the first half of it, but similar to taxes, like as you get more, you pay a different amount. It's kind of the reverse of taxes, where instead of earning more, you spend more, or maybe doing it that way. Actually, that would probably be more fair to small developers to give a portion of have the first $1 million or so completely free, right? Depending on the type of subscription or if it's a service that you're offering. And then as it scales up, Apple starts to take more, up to 30%. And that essentially then says, like, we are helping you be successful. And because we are helping you be successful, you are going to return the profits to us in kind, right? Something like that I could see being fair, I think, to people.
Or the other thing, which I could have swore they were kind of doing already, but I guess that wasn't correct, but taking 30% initially, like maybe for a year, and then dropping it to 15% after that. Something like that would be reasonable too. Like, we're going to help you get started, but we're going to promote you too. Cause they, that's the thing, is they do promote products or apps in the App Store, without these companies paying them, without developers paying them. They just do it. So, if they said, hey, we're going to help you for a year, so we want 30%, and after that, 15, something like that. But I could have swore that they were already doing that. In all these stories, it doesn't seem that way.
Well, and my mentality, or what I'm looking at it and seeing here, is that if you are really losing that much money, then don't provide that service through the mobile device. So in the case of Fortnite, you can go online and purchase things. You can, do it through your Xbox or your other gaming platform system. Like, it's available on a lot of other things. The fact that they're trying to play this game and not want to give up money to Apple means that platform is one of the larger areas of revenue streams for them, right? If it wasn't really making a lot of money, then whatever, you're taking 30% of a small portion of our growth. But Apple created a product and has a market base and an ecosystem that promotes and makes it really easy for people to do quick purchases. And they are making that available to these developers. And so in kind, they are asking for their share of it. So, like, I understand that and I see that as well. But because the other option is, if you really don't want to pay the piper, you don't want to pay Apple, just remove the option to buy things on there. Tell people you want to add more coins or something, you got to go online to do it. And you're not allowed to like boot them from the app into your website. You just need to make that not a thing that's there. And then, or just mark it like, you can buy more Epic money, whatever it's called. I'm sure I sound really old right now to anybody under the age of 20, but I don't even know what the currency that they're trying to tax is. But whatever that is, if you just move the commerce off of the platform into the web, you're completely fine. So, obviously you're getting a benefit from being on the iPhone. So,
yeah, I don't know why they couldn't just do what you were talking about and just, you can buy all these things separately.
mm-hmm.
People will still go there and buy them. And I know a lot of other developers and companies have done that. So I don't know. We'll see where this goes. We'll cover more of this as it progresses. The reason we don't have too much about it on this episode is that I don't think we should cover it every episode, and it will be mentioned every week.
Yeah, we probably won't.
So we'll select some bigger stories around this as it progresses, but we won't be mentioning it on every episode, hopefully. Anyways, why don't we move on? I don't have anything in for your entertainment this time. So why don't we move on to our picks or tips? And I think I went first last episode. So why don't you go first? Do you have a pick or tip?
So I do have a pick. We kind of alluded to it earlier before, but I recently got an Apple Card. And so that is my pick right now. I want to talk about how great this thing is. Through a whole bunch of circumstances, I found myself needing to get a new credit card. So I was able to sign up really easily through the phone. What was amazing is I had instant access to the card. And there's some really cool features in the wallet. You're able to just pay automatically or pay quickly through the wallet. You don't have to wait or log into any kind of online portal. You don't have to wait for the card to come in the mail. You get to use it immediately, which is really cool. The 2% cashback through Apple Pay is really nice, as well as, you get the 1% cashback on normal purchases and then 3% off of Apple things. And the ability to split up any Apple purchase over 12 months. Right? Well, I don't know if it's any, but I think most.
Yeah, it depends on the product, the duration.
Right.
That you will be paying, because hopefully they wouldn't want you to pay off that Mac Pro in 12 months. Hopefully they give you 2 years at least.
Maybe. I don't know. But essentially, you get a lot of flexibility with it, which I think is really cool. But something that was really interesting too is the way that they do card numbers. So there is no card number printed on the actual card itself, which is gorgeous, by the way. It's really nice. It's got a nice hefty thud as you drop it down onto places.
It's titanium, the physical card.
Activating it is also really cool. Well, and to activate it, you literally just hold your phone next to it, similar to when you're pairing your AirPods or something, and it, just uses NFC to activate. Yep. It says like, do you want to activate this? And you're able to, boom, right there. It's all good to go. But I was reading some other articles about people gushing about the card, and this kind of helped push me over the edge and get me excited about it. So if you happen to lose your card, you can contact Apple and they will send you a new one. But what's amazing is that you don't need to change the number on the things you've already signed up for. Those numbers are kind of already hidden and encrypted. So if you've already signed up for, like a reoccurring service, especially if it's something going through your Apple account, you don't have to go back and update it. I don't know about you, but I have lost cards before or had cards compromised. And then you have to go through the whole okay, what things were billing to that? Got to go and update everything. With the Apple Card, you don't have to do that. Additionally, if you feel like your card has been compromised, if you start to see different charges coming up or somehow someone got your number, they can actually just change. You can change the number for the card through the app. And again, it doesn't disrupt any of the other, at least it's been the experience, as I understand it, it doesn't disrupt any of your other previous rolling charges on it, but it can just give you a new number. So some really, really cool updates and just kind of ways to use a card. So I've been enjoying that. Also, if you do happen to lose your card, they can mail you another one, but they can change the number on your wallet card so you can start using it immediately too.
Yeah.
So just really good customer service and really, really cool features. Like it feels like a modern credit card.
Yeah.
And I've already made a bunch of money on the cashback too, which is pretty cool. Like I was able to get lunch the other day for just some of the purchases I made. So it starts to add up,
It's very handy. I've used it since day one. It's just so different than older traditional credit cards. I just said older, but traditional is what I meant to say, just traditional. But, I've had a ATM card compromised, and it took me an hour on the phone to get that settled. And I couldn't pay for what I needed to pay for.
Yeah.
With this Apple card, you can contact someone like pretty much immediately, either calling or even texting.
Yeah, the chat feature is really cool.
The other feature that's really nice, which they explained when they unveiled the card, is that the billing, like the places that you've made a purchase, are very clear, which on old traditional credit cards, I just said old again. Traditional credit cards, the billing is you're like, what is that? I don't understand what that even says, because they'll use these weird names, and all the names are very clear. It'll say Shell Station in, San Diego, I mean, it's very specific, which is very handy. So you're not like kind of guessing. Then you don't have to contact them like, where was this,
And they just added the web portal too. So that's pretty nice as well.
Yeah.
So I can look at it on the iPad and stuff, which is also really helpful. Card.apple.com.
Yeah, actually, my fiance might need to do that because I think I mentioned on another episode that she killed her iPhone XR.
Oh, yeah, no.
And that had Apple Pay on it. And then she's using an old 5S that we had sitting around. And that does not have Apple Pay.
No.
It won't update to iOS 13. So it's on iOS 12 forever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she might have to use the portal, but she's bummed that she hasn't been able to use Apple Pay at all. So
interestingly, so on the portal, I don't know if you've looked at it or done that yet. Oh, you can schedule automatic payments. So that's cool. I'll be setting that up. But I can't see because I've already paid everything off, I can't see previous balances.
Huh.
So like once you've paid they disappear. It says you have nothing to pay now. And there's no way for me to see what I had on there.
On the portal, but you can on the phone.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll fix the portal, make it a little more robust.
So by the way, because this is something we had talked about yesterday or when we were doing prep and you didn't quite know if you could do it. So you can set up automatic payments and you can choose to pay the full bill. So it even says recommended to reduce or avoid interest. Yeah. You can pay the minimum or you can choose to pay like a set amount.
You kind of missed the whole thing, but for several months now too, during the COVID-19 outbreak, they've been letting you waive any interest fees. And literally all you have to do is just text them, hey, can you waive the fees? And they send you back, okay, we're done. You're set up. That's it.
Wow, that's cool.
I did it a few times. I didn't really need it, but I just did it. But I should have been paying attention because they say by law, I guess, with any credit card, they can only do that 6 times a year.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's totally fair. I think that's it on the Apple Card. You're loving it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am. So that's my pick.
Yeah, and when you first told me you got it, I sent you a suggestion, and that was the Mac Pro. That really should have been your first purchase.
Split over a year, 3%.
Yeah.
It's enough cash back to like get a
watch,
an Apple Watch.
Yeah, it's a win-win situation, John. You should have done it.
I think I'll just buy a watch. It'll be cheaper in the long run.
Come on.
For now, maybe soon.
I mean, you have a larger credit limit than I do.
That's true. I got some room on there.
Oh man, you could have got us both a Mac Pro for podcasting because you need that for podcasting.
I'll tell you what, if we get a sponsor, we could start writing it off as a business expense. I'll consider it.
Anybody want to sponsor now? Well, okay, so I almost didn't have a pick. So this one's kind of a quick pick because I think my discussion about the workouts was kind of a tip, the workouts on the Apple Watch and how to find all the extra workouts. But so this one's very quick. So it's an app called Directive, maintenance app. And basically it's a kind of a, one-trick pony. basically kind of does one thing, which is you can kind of put in all your maintenance items that you need to put in. So maybe you're a person that doesn't want to flood your calendar with, I need to change my oil. And most calendars don't let you repeat like kind of custom sometimes, like every 3 months. Sometimes it's just once a month or once a week. So this is kind of a spot to just put all that type of stuff. So it's available on iPhone, iPad, and Mac. And it is free, but $3.99 a year if you want to unlock all their features. Let's see. And their description in the App Store says Directive helps you stay up to date with routine maintenance to safeguard important things in your life. Yeah, basically, it makes maintenance easy to remember, easy to complete, easier to keep track of. Directive Pro, let me go over that, is available as an auto-renewing subscription for a very low annual price. We already said that, but it gives you access to Pro on iPhone, iPad, and Mac. It also allows you to track unlimited maintenance tasks. Plus, it backs up and syncs your maintenance tasks and history across all of your devices. You can even share them with a partner. In addition, it allows more customization, like setting custom repeat intervals for tasks.
Okay.
So I am using it. I tested it, but I only put one task in there. So I don't actually know what the limit is for free.
Okay.
But I actually like this idea. This is something you would think they would have made for the Apple Watch as well. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Because it's a very simple app. I really like the idea because I've been putting kind of weird random tasks on my calendar and I kind of don't like it.
Yeah, no, this is actually something that I've been looking for.
Oh, really?
Because I wanted a place to have these little reminders, things that you can set up and then not think about because it's not going to happen for like a year. Like replacing the air filter in your air conditioning unit, which PSA, if you have an air conditioner and you haven't replaced the air filter on it, go do that now because it's probably due. You're supposed to do it every year. And if you're just being reminded about it now, you probably should go do it now because it probably means it hasn't happened in a while.
We actually don't set reminders on that because we have the window mounted air conditioners. So every summer you basically need to like either replace or wash the filter. We have a few different ones or clean it out, vacuum it out or something. Yeah, this app is cool because when you go to add an item, it gives you suggestions, which is really cool. Kind of examples like renew registration, check the tire pressure, test smoke detector. That's a good one. Change your oil. We kind of don't keep up on the smoke detectors. So,
yeah, we don't either until it screams at you at 3 a.m.
Oh, man. Is that Murphy's Law or what?
It's always in the middle of the night.
It's never during the day. I've lived in the same apartment for like 20 years. And every time the battery dies, it is when I'm trying to go to sleep and have to go to work the next day, whatever.
Yeah, it's never on like a Friday night either. It's always a Thursday or a Tuesday or something.
It's never Saturday during the day.
Yeah.
When you're just chilling out, like, oh, the battery's dead.
3 p.m, just hanging out. Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, like, oh, cool. Well, I'll just go change the battery. No, it's at night. Oh, and just to point out what makes that even more difficult is like we have a 2-bedroom and there's 3 smoke detectors and they're kind of near each other. So
you don't know which one is the one?
You do not. I'll be like, okay, shut that door. Now let's stare at this one and see if the little light, the red light goes off. Because they sound identical and they're loud. Yeah. They're insanely like it, or it's like the pitch of those things. Yeah. It's insanely loud. We had the same thing happen with the CO2, right? The CO2 detector.
Oh yeah, carbon monoxide detector. Yeah.
Oh, man, there was one of them that we had. We're getting a little off topic here, but there was one of them that we had that it didn't have a removable battery. And there was no way to turn it off. And it was like going off while I was at work and my fiance was here at home. She's like, what should I do? I'm like, I don't know. She just took it off the wall.
Maybe that meant there was a carbon monoxide leak in the apartment?
No, there was not, actually. No.
Well, obviously she's fine.
Yeah, but it's impossible in this apartment, just so you know. But there's a lot of old windows with a lot of air coming in. we're always
Yeah.
getting fresh air, I guess, always, but or smoky air, depending on
With the fires going.
depending on the season. So she took that CO2 detector, wrapped it in a bunch of old T-shirts, put it in a blanket, and then took it down to the garage and put it in there
until it cycled through whatever power it had and turned off.
Well, we just, contacted the apartment manager, told him like, hey, the repair guy needs to come out. And they were like, no, we don't need to take it back. I'm like, you're taking it back. Take this back.
Yeah. We're not putting it in the house.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
No, you can go destroy it.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Well, the smoke detector is like, God help you if you don't have the 9-volt too. That's the worst. It's 3 a.m. You get out of bed, you get it down. You're like, okay. And then you go to the drawer and you pull it. Oh, no 9-volt.
Yeah. And I would recommend keeping good batteries in stock for those, because if you do the 99-cent store batteries, you're just going to hear that beeping more often.
Every 2.5 weeks, man.
Yeah, pay the extra money.
Yeah. Well, so for directives here, you can just buy 9-volt batteries, good 9-volt batteries to that every few months to make sure you're well stocked for when the smoke detector happens.
That's right. Or buy batteries every 3 months or something. Yeah, but this app is actually very handy because, like I said, I've put some of these weird random tasks on my calendar and it's kind of annoying. So this is pretty cool.
Well, cool. I'm going to check this out.
Yeah, and even the subscription prices, I think $4 a year is very reasonable.
Yeah.
If you need it on multiple devices or more features, I don't know. Maybe you can test it too and see how many tasks they let you set up.
I will say this is one of those ones where it grinds my gears, right? Like, why is this a subscription? But if they're adding features every year, okay, fine. But yeah, this one's $4. But then there's going to be like 9 others that I end up getting. And then the next thing you know, I'm spending $40 a year and not even realizing it because these little apps are doing these things. So that's another thing I try to be careful about.
And if they keep adding features, it won't be a one-trick pony.
Right. Well, then it starts getting complicated. So it's a balancing act, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it won't be a simple app anymore.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that is it for this episode. So everyone be safe, be healthy, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Read all the stories we've covered and more stories on Flipboard, a link provided in the show notes. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the Apple Watchers Podcast and on Twitter at Watchers Tweet. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcast. You can even ask your smart speaker to play the Apple Watchers Podcast. You can also listen on YouTube, a link provided in the show notes. Please subscribe and rate us wherever you listen. And thank you again for listening. Until the next episode, I hope the only complications in your life are the ones on the face of your Apple Watch.